You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride, and they can bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty. www.things.com. Every time our country stands in the path of danger, an instinct seems to summon her finest first, those who truly understand her. When freedom shivers in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots who first hear the call. When loss of liberty is looming, as it is now, the siren sounds first, in the hearts of freedom's vanguard, who come from their simple homes to find the fire and fight. That symbolizes the full measure of human dignity and liberty. Revolution Radio listeners, the sun is rising across this great United States, and that means straight from the heart of Texas. It is time for Clayton Douglas, the Free American. Take it away, Clayton.
God, I like that. Deep in the heart of Texas. It's nice to be back home after 40 years of self-imposed exile. And folks, the day is starting. A new life is starting, a new direction is starting. People are starting to wake up. I'm not going to be negative about this, but I've got to warn you, I've got to tell you, I've always referred to myself as the canary in the coal mine, and they have tried to kill me. They have tried to silence me. And they do that almost every day, every week. Somebody's got something to say that's negative, to try to discourage you, to try to... And a lot of times, those people, that comes from your own family. And one of the biggest problems we have here, we are starting to wake up. We're starting to understand the Illuminati. We're starting to understand the Zionists. We're starting to understand what communism is. And, you know, I volunteered for Vietnam in 1964 to go fight the communists, but I found out that every plank in the Communist Manifesto was intact in America and been here for almost 100 years. I've told you they'll come after me first because I'm outspoken, because I've got a voice, because I've been a publisher for 25, 30 or more years. But they're starting to come after the common folks. They're starting to come after the average person out there. My guest today is Randy Albert. He's from Oklahoma. He's a taxi driver who started to get politically aware, I would assume, and has been attacked by his own police force, by his own government, by his own people, and accused of being homicidal, suicidal, schizophrenic, and delusional. Let me just hazard a guess here, Randy, and welcome to the Free American Hour.
Morning, Clay.
Let me just hazard a guess here. Did you happen to want to start or get involved with the militia, which, of course, you know, for you people that that think the militia is a bad thing, what part of the Second Amendment don't you understand? Tell me, Randy, how did you come into the crosshairs? How did you get into the crosshairs here? By your own police force, by your own local establishment. And I'm not sure, but you know, a few years back they came out with Senate Bill 1959 and created the fusion centers in our states, and that's basically a way to bring the federal government into your local, state, and police forces. What? Tell me. Let's get your story here, sir.
All right. Well, I started the taxi here in June of 2000, and there wasn't one within at least 70-mile radius of here. We're in a pretty rural spot here in Elk City, Oklahoma. It's on the western side of the state, and we got it going pretty good, and the city decided they would regulate us after we got some competition, and took quite a bit to comply with everything they said that we needed, and we went ahead and did that. We had a city manager by the name of Guy Hilton, been here since 1994, and so I complied with everything, and the other bunch just started running 5 or 6 vehicles with only the certain stuff they were supposed to have on one vehicle. So I went back to City Hall and said, you know, looky here, these guys are running for $3 a ride. They're going to put us out of business because I have to pay this unreal amount of insurance and all this other stuff on my taxis, and they need to have it too. So had to get all these affidavits signed with description of the driver and the kind of vehicle it was and the whole 9 yards. Took that back to them, and they took it in front of the city council and voted not to enforce the regulations after they had already put them on us. And it'd be the same thing as a wrecker service opening up next door to a legitimate wrecker service and going and picking up vehicles half the price that he can charge and not carrying all the insurance and everything else. So got us off to a pretty rough start with them. That was about 2003. Next year, the city decided they were going to take over our local electric system from America Electric Power, and it came up for a vote, and I told some people that if anybody needed a ride to the polls to vote against this deal, that we could beat it, and I had 3 taxis that would haul anybody down there that wanted to vote against it. Next thing I know, it was overwhelming that they lost, and they didn't get to buy out the electric system. And next thing I know, I'm getting a call from City Hall, and my cousin worked there at the time as a city manager's secretary, and she told me I was in trouble, that the city manager thought I'd cost him the electric system takeover. And I couldn't understand what really that meant. I just kept thinking, surely she don't mean that you can't go out and give a bunch of free rides to the polls on something that you feel like that you need to defeat here in America. I mean, if we are still in America, that is. And she pretty well put it that, it is in America in this town. It's basically Guy Hilton's way or the highway. So things got pretty rough after that. I started having an unbelievable amount of harassment from every angle. I couldn't keep air in a tire, and the guy was bothering my wife and kids, and I got protective orders on him and everything else, and it just didn't seem to do any good. Nobody seemed to help us. He got in a whole bunch of trouble, got charged with a lot of felonies, and they would just get erased off his criminal record like they never even happened.
Now, who was this?
And,
you can. This is the Free American Show. You can name names. Who was this asshole?
His name's last name's Elrod. Eddie Elrod was his name. He seemed to have some dirt on the district attorney, and he told some people that he knew certain things about attorneys here and officials and the district attorney and drug task force, and seemed to be blackmailing them so he could get by with just about anything. I can't imagine him going to go up inside the courthouse and threaten to kill a bonds lady in front of a court clerk, and have drugs in his pocket and loaded firearms in the courthouse, and to get that erased off his record. And a couple weeks later, actually get caught with $25,000 worth of counterfeit money and the printer and the whole 9 yards, and that made the front page, and the same thing happened. And you'd think the Secret Service or somebody would have stepped in on that, but we seem to be in our own little country here in western Oklahoma. It's just such a rural area, and things always been a certain way here. We don't get much attention from the outside world, and I've tried to change that with over the last 10 years from blogging and putting videos out, and meeting with reporters all over the place, and trying to get investigators in here. And I went to the FBI about this guy bothering my wife and waving a gun at me all over town. The police wouldn't do anything about it. Actually, finally got enough of it after they dismissed a protective order after he didn't even show up to contest it. And they wrote on the court papers, a judge by the name of Judge Hott wrote on the court papers that I requested it be dismissed. And it was ridiculous that he went back to harassing us again. So I finally had enough, and I decided I was going to slap him around. I mean, I hadn't been in a fight in maybe 1 or 2 fights in my whole life when I was a kid, and I finally just got so aggravated that I was going to beat him down. It takes a lot for me to blow my cool, but if somebody messes with my family, I finally snap. And he ran to the police station, and 5 cops come and told me I was going to have to sign a disturbing the peace ticket, or I was going to jail. And I told him, just go ahead and take me to jail. So I went to jail for this little only thing that I've basically been convicted on in my whole life. I don't have any even a misdemeanor on my record. I've had a couple of little tiny things that always got dismissed. And so I went to court, and the city attorney was there with this guy that I tried to get a hold of, and he told me I was going to plead guilty to this disturbing the peace charge, or I'd never have a friend down at the police station again. And I told him, I don't have a whole lot of friends down here anyway, Steve. I didn't think this deal's been handled the right way. This guy's been bothering us for a while. Nobody will do anything about it. If I got to take the law into my own hands, then that's just how it's going to be. He told me, you know, you're going to plead guilty or I'm going to ask the judge for jail time. And I said, you know, what are we talking about here? 12 hours on disturbing the peace? I don't know what the max you plan on giving me here, but it's not going to look good if you do that. And his face turned beet red, and he told me to get over in my chair and, you know, sit there until the cop got up on the stand and started. First, he asked the cop some questions, and he's a pretty nice guy. His name's Joel Pierce, and he's still a cop. I think he's Beckham County Sheriff's Office now, and super nice guy. Just can't find a better cop in the world. And came my turn to question him. I said, Joel, you got any kids? He said, you know, yeah, Randy, I got kids. And I said, you know, what would you do if a counterfeiting drug dealer was chasing your wife and baby down and nobody would do anything about it? And it didn't go over well. The city attorney about had a cow, and I basically rested my case, and they found me guilty and gave me half of my fine back, and things just wasn't good at all.
They found you guilty?
Yeah, they went ahead. The judge is a pretty nice guy too, but you know, I was basically guilty of that. You know, I mean, I did everything else that I could to keep him from bothering us. So, I mean, he would just all of a sudden show up at Walmart and park behind my wife and my 2-month-old baby where she couldn't park back out of a parking spot. And we'd already been through all these protective orders and everything else and couldn't get one to stick. And he could just wave a gun at me, you know, driving down the road, and the police wouldn't do anything about it. He definitely had some protection. So many things that point towards that it's ridiculous that he was able to get by with as much as he had. I've looked into some of his affairs for a while, and it's pretty troubling. But after that, you know, certain things just started happening. Vehicles were getting damaged, and you know, I had 17 flats in a week. I had 9 vans at one time and a bunch of drivers, and we were doing super good, and always donating money to the schools and working on people's cars for nothing. It wasn't really about money. I mean, people that run this town, they don't understand everything's about money to them. Some things money just can't buy. And, you know, at the beginning of 2007, I'd met with the local FBI after this incident at the police station where I went to court on that. That was in 2003, and he told me that there was no corruption here. His name's Agent Brad Thompson. He's our local field agent here, and you know, I was on the phone with him, and I said, you know, Brad, there's corruption in every county, especially Beckham County, Oklahoma. I mean, Paul Harvey's even said if you want to get away with murder, go to Beckham County, just don't write a hot check. So, you know, we kind of had some words, and he told me, you know, okay, I'll see what I can do, and I wasn't satisfied with that. So my buddy said, you know, call the Oklahoma City FBI. You know, this deal that's happening to you, that's ridiculous. They shouldn't be allowing that guy to do that to your wife and child. I believe they're telling him to do it. And I said, you know, you really think that, you know, they're telling him to do that over this electric system takeover? And he goes, yeah, I think Hilton would do that. The guy's pretty ruthless. So I called the Oklahoma City FBI, on the phone with an agent there for a couple of minutes, and he said, you know, okay, I'm sorry, you're going to have to call the local agent. I said, you know, I've already talked to the local agent here, and he told me there was no corruption in Beckham County. The guy just got irate and started yelling, saying, you don't trust the local agent, huh? And all of a sudden the local agent's back on the phone. I guess he'd been on there the whole time. You know, they play their little phone games, and he had been listening to the conversation the whole time. They got ways of doing most anything to the phones. I'm going to go into some of that in just a little bit. But local agent come back on the phone. He goes, Mr. Albert, you don't know who you're messing with. Better stay out of her way. And I said, you know, Brad, I just want my kids and wife to be left alone from this guy, and you guys can do whatever you want. I don't really care about the corruption here. I mean, I've grown up with this deal for, you know, knowing about it for 30 years, and a lot of people got hurt trying to do things here, and they used to do some really terrible things to people when they found out. They don't really have to do that anymore because they can just step on you.
just kind of hold you down with their boot on your neck. Anyway, so just years and years of a little aggravation. Finally got to the point of 2007, and a lot of things had happened between 2003, but there's just not enough room to go into that. I've got a lot of stuff to cover. Anyway, the phones just quit working. Nobody could call me, and they were just getting a fast, busy signal. I just couldn't understand what was going on. I called Dawson Cellular. We've been with them since 1994. I've been with the same phone company for 13 years, never had a lick of trouble besides what everybody else has, just regular technical difficulties. And so, I started, trying to call places to find out, what kind of harassment we were enduring, and talking to people about the problems we were having with the phones. And it just finally got to the point where it's about to put me all the way out of business. And
it's a little hard to run a taxi service if nobody can call you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was to the point where I had to pull outside of bars and wait for people to come out and get a ride. I mean, they couldn't even call me standing right next to my taxi. I mean, it was, overwhelming, to say the least. It's scary. I didn't know what to do, and so I saw one of my buddies at the Quick Stop that I worked with at one time. He worked for the city, and he told me, Randy, I called the U.S. Marshals about what this guy's doing. He basically sells drugs for the cops. And I said, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? He sells them to trail them so they can bust the people? And he goes, you don't really know much about how things work around here, do you? And I said, apparently not. Are you saying that he's actually selling, drugs for profit for the law enforcement? And he goes, some of them, we're not talking about just little regular uniform police officers, but, it's pretty dirty in this area, and a lot of people know about it. It's definitely not a conspiracy theory. It's just, you can't really do anything. If you ever did get in a position to do anything about it, there's no telling what they would do. But anyway, he said, about the phone deal, you're going to have to call the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C., and see if maybe they'll help you, at least figure out what's going on. I don't know how you've endured all that you've endured so far, but it's pretty pathetic that now they're going to start messing with your phone. So I went home and got the phone number to the FCC in Washington, D.C. It's a 888 number, and I started trying to call it, and after about a dozen attempts, it wouldn't connect. I mean, it wouldn't even dial. It wouldn't do anything. It would just hang there, and all of a sudden, my other business phone started ringing, and it was a customer of mine that I'd had since the beginning. I'd taken care of his sister when she was a barmaid, and she was in poor health, and always made sure she was all right. We were really close friends, and she was about as good as anybody could possibly be to me, almost like a mother. And he told me, she had died about a year before this, and he told me on the phone, Randy, don't try to call the FCC anymore. I need you to come over here to my house. You're in a bad situation. So I thought, Bob, what's going on? He said, well, just come on over here and I'll talk to you about it. So I got over to his apartments, and he met me out front. And he goes, come on in. I need to talk to you. So we went inside his apartment. And the first thing he did was pointed a flag on the wall that said, kill them all, let God sort them out. And said, okay, what's that had to do with me? I mean, obviously it's a term from Nam. And he goes, Randy, you've learned too much about how things work here. Corruption's gotten so bad in the government that we think it's going to completely collapse everything. It's gotten so crooked all over that people just, the police are scared, and they're afraid of the people that are running things, and the drug world has definitely gotten so out of control. And he told me that he had heard about this county when he lived on the East Coast in the late 70s and come here to join the underworld. There's always been a pretty powerful bunch running this place here. I mean, nobody can ever get to the people that control the drugs here. They're just, I guess you know by now that they're untouchable. They think they are. I don't know if we could ever do anything with them or not, but he also told me the district attorney had a secret investigator on me. And by the way he said it, that I was in danger. And I said, you know, Bobby, this is kind of worrying me here. It's so bizarre. I don't know how to take this. What's your plan here? He told me some people were prepared to offer me all the business I could do, actually set up all my rides for me where everything would run smooth as long as I didn't keep trying to call the FCC, make any accusations, any threats or any demands or any ways whatsoever. And I said, you know, Bobby, that sounds crazy. You know, I just don't understand why they need to do that. You think they would just leave the phones alone and don't need somebody helping us out with our rides. And he goes, you know, Randy, you don't have any choice. This is a pretty bad situation you're in. You're going to have to keep your head down and try to get through this mess. And we sat there and talked for quite a while. And
repeat for me. Who is telling you this? Who is the man that's telling you that you're in danger and there's nothing you can do?
I refer to him as Joe, Clay, because I think the guy actually saved my life, and I protected his identity for years. His first name is Bob, and you know, I refer to him in my story as Joe, because, you know, I believe that the guy went way out on a limb. Whoever was putting this thing together on his behalf, or, you know, whoever he was presenting this deal for, that had some definite power, and it looked like they maybe wasn't as ruthless as some of the ones that we were having trouble with. It seemed to be over an incident where the city manager that I'd had all this trouble with, all of a sudden, at the end of 2006, got indicted by a federal grand jury for exposing our local Department of Corrections workers to asbestos in an old railroad depot they'd bought. And he sent them in there knowing it was loaded with asbestos with no protection whatsoever. And then somebody reported to the EPA, and he ended up lying to a federal grand jury about it and got indicted, and he was in trouble, and I think they were worried that it was going to draw some heat on him. You know, I was so aggravated about everything that had happened to me that they were afraid some people were going to come here, I believe, and try to straighten some of this out. So, you know, he ended up you know, going to trial, and they found him guilty, and everybody and their dog tried to write a letter trying to ask the judge for leniency and everything else, and the city council tried to save his job for him while he went to a federal prison. And it's just, that can only happen, you know, I'm not even sure in Chicago. And he got out of prison in 2011 to become the city manager of our county seat in Sarah, Oklahoma, and that's where he's sitting right now. And it's too much for television, I'll promise you. So anyway, after this deal got presented, I left, and you know, calls started coming in just one after another. I would go to Walmart and pick some people up, and they would stand out front and get in and have a $20 bill in their hand and hand it to me and tell me what a great job I was doing and pat me on the back. And I would go on and drop them off, say at a bar, and another group of people would be waiting out front, and they would give me a $20 bill and tell me how great a job I was doing. And it finally got to the point where after about 10 days of that, I just finally decided I wasn't doing such a good job if I didn't try to stop some of this nonsense. And the money just seemed to be a slap in the face. I just didn't feel like it. I felt like my job was a joke all of a sudden, and didn't want to haul a bunch of fabricated informants around that were doing nothing but, you know, I don't know, just trying to fill space. I was afraid also that, you know, they might do something incredible to me if I didn't go ahead and start reporting this to the news media and trying to reach out with people. And So I started calling the FCC and, news stations and everything else, and things got real ugly. I had some customers with me one night, and we had 4 Dodge 4-wheel drive pickups surround my taxi, and I was driving down 3rd Street. So, these people that I had with me were freaking out, because they knew about their stuff that had happened to me. So I called my attorney at home, and he, he's always been a friend of our family. He's a pretty good attorney, fairly, popular in town. I don't want to name him by name, but, it's not too hard to figure out who he is if you're a local person here. And I told him, Mark, this had happened to me, and didn't really know how to handle this situation. He goes, what kind of vehicles are they, and what are they doing? I told him, one of them was flipping cigarette butts against the side of my van while we was driving down 3rd Street. The other one would cut out in front of us, and one would get up beside us and start racing his engine. And, I told him about this deal that they tried to present to me about having all the business I could do if I didn't fight back over them stopping my phone calls from coming in. And he goes, oh my God, go to the emergency room. And I said, you know what, Mark? Are you saying to go to the emergency room for help with this deal? And he goes, yeah, Randy, don't call me again. That sounds like a real mess. And hung up on me. So, we didn't really know what to do, so I pulled in the emergency room, and all 3 of us sat there just looking at each other, not knowing what to do, and these pickups continued to circle around the block, and it seemed pretty dangerous. So we sat there and talked for a few minutes with this friend of mine and our customer that I'd known for a long time, and we decided we were going to go to the police station and talk about it. This is about maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. So we rolled down to the police station, and I went in and talked to Officer Barnes and Steve Barnes, and he's a detective now, and Scotty Tice, another one that is not a police officer anymore. He actually owns a bar in Mangum, Oklahoma, referred to as a shagging cabin. It's I'm not sure, I've never been to the place, but he was definitely in my opinion, extremely dirty. I mean, he did some really weird things to me by stopping me for no reason, saying I was going over the speed limit, and a lot of different things before this had happened. And I started telling these guys about what had happened with this deal that was presented to me about my phones, and sat and talked for quite a bit, and they looked really nervous about it. They didn't seem to be wanting to really hear it. And so I decided, one of them went back to use the phone. I guess he was calling the supervisor. I have no idea. But I decided that I was leaving. So I, shook Scotty Tice's hand, and I went back to my van, and the 2 people were still in the van. And I, got in the passenger side. I was training this one guy to drive for me. And I told him, I'd talked to the cops, and I didn't know exactly what else to do. And so about the time we started, my driver started to back the van up, these 2 cops come running out of the police station, and I didn't really know what to make of it, and so I rolled down my window, and we stopped, and they said, Randy, we need you to come back in the police station just for another minute. And I said, I've already been here long enough, just call me if you got a question about anything. And Bond said, no, we need you to come back in just for another minute. And I said, I don't have time. We've got stuff to go do. Jason, back up. And I told the guy to back up, and he started backing up, and we pulled out of there, and I started calling news stations, and, a lot of really weird stuff started happening. About maybe a couple of months later in June 30th of 2007, I went to the police station to try to file a complaint about it. Met with 2 detectives, one by the name of David Pruitt, who's a pretty nice guy. I've known him for a long time, and Bill Gerhold, Detective Gerhold, and his wife worked for Department of Human Services, and we're sitting there. I've got my 15-year-old boy with me because he had seen a lot of weird stuff, and his phone had been doing the same thing. And I told them about everything that went on, and they wanted to question my son, another detective by the name of Kenny Shirey. He's acted as our police chief several times over the years when he needed to, and I've always considered him a friend. Kenny's always been pretty decent to me. I've known his wife for a long time, and she's been a friend of our family. I was born in this town in 1967, so I'm on a first-name basis with a lot of people. After working in the grocery store as a manager before I started a taxi and running a ranch, and I've done a little bit of everything. Keep a job for a long time. Anyway, a few minutes later, they come back, and next thing I know, this Detective Pruitt tells me, put your hands out in front of you, Randy. We're taking you into your custody, and you're going to be taken to Red Rock Mental Health Facility in Clinton, Oklahoma. I said, David, what'd that do? I don't understand. Are you trying to say that, I'm not sane, or what? And he goes, Randy, I'm just doing my job here. So I told him, David, please don't handcuff me in front of my son. Let him go outside and call his grandma for a ride, and, I won't, I'll go willingly. Just please don't put the handcuffs on me in front of my boy. And so he let my son go outside and call his grandma, and next thing I know, I'm being transported to a town about 25 miles away called Clinton, Oklahoma, to a place called Red Rock Behavioral Center. And
what was the date on that? Excuse me for interrupting you, Randy, but what was the time frame on here? What was the date that this happened? And how long had been
June 30th.
Go ahead.
June 30th, 2007.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So anyway, I'm sitting in this place, and it's already evening time by the time I waited in a holding cell at the Elk City Police Station all day for this cop by the name of Brett Moore to transport me. I'd had some pretty bad incidents with Brett that I'll discuss in just a little bit. There's so many things that he did. Just didn't understand what he was telling him to do. He was being paid by our drug task force, it looked like, to do some pretty weird things. I think they've got a lot of people on a take here. Anyway, as soon as I get there, I'm talking to this guy by the name of Nathan Brockelman, and telling me, Nate, a lot of pretty bad stuff's happened to me here. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'd like to get a fair shake. Just don't want to get railroaded here. And he goes, Randy, we're just all trying to do our job here. We won't mistreat you. So he got me all in, and got that night the nurse come in. It's an older lady by the name of Carrie, and she asked me if I wanted some aspirin. And I said, I don't really need any, I don't guess. And she handed me this pill, and I said, it's just one aspirin or what? And she goes, yeah, I just want to take care of it for you. And so I thought, I better not take this. I don't even know what it is. So I flushed it down the toilet. And anyway, the next day I met with Dr. On inside this little room with a couple other, people. One I went to school with, another one by the name of Carolyn Yearwood and Michelle Dodgens. They were a couple of assistants, and Dr. On, she wouldn't even listen to me. She's basically referred to as Dr. Sarah Quill by people that she's tried to quieten down about corruption. They've done this to other people before here that learn too much about things, and she told me, Randy, you're just having delusions, and there's no way that this stuff is happening to you. And I said, Dr. On, I'm not saying that UFOs are landing in my front yard here. It's just pretty plain and simple, the kind of harassment we're getting. It's not, anything too wild, and don't think this is right that you guys are holding me here. So, basically, that's about all that was said, and wasn't hardly any questions asked to me. She's Vietnamese, so you can't hardly understand her anyway. She's the head psychiatrist over this Red Rock, which is the whole thing, the state kind of mental thing. If you get stupid and do something crazy or try to kill yourself, this is where you go out of the 5 counties here, I believe. And next day, sat there, and next day sat there, and just nobody would talk to me. A guy by the name of Tommy started talking to me. He worked there, and told me, Randy, I know things are difficult, and I understand how things work here. I don't know what's going to happen to you, but I hope everything works out. So finally, after 72 hours, my wife come and pick me up, and we've been married. As of the end of this year, 24 years. We've been through a lot together, and she come and picked me up, and got back to town, and I was, ready to get back in my taxi and go make some money, because there were so many things wrong. You could imagine for not able to get a phone to work right, and after that I broke this deal, they had started, instead of everybody handing me a $20 bill, I would go out on 15 or 20 rides in a row and never even make $1. Nobody would be there. I would pull up at a motel and call the phone number back that somebody had called me from, and all I'd get was a voice greeting. It said, click, click, bang, bang, you know what to do. It was constantly something like that, and so we've been without, enough money to do much with for a while. Still had some buddies that would call me so many times that they would finally let the calls come through, or they would text me, or the texts wouldn't come through but about half the time. But I would just go to the bars and wait for people to get a ride. I'd just bounce back and forth to all the bars, and I stayed going as good as I could. And anyway, so after I got out of this mental facility, been home about an hour, I got a call from a bar on the other side of town, and it was from this guy that had an army cap on and an army shirt, and he got in my van, and we started driving down the road, and he told me, I was in too deep and I was going to have to keep my head down. I told him, I don't know exactly what to do here, but I can't put up with this phone deal much more. I'm not sure how they expect me not to try to fight back here. It was so bizarre that I'd never even heard of somebody having these kind of phone troubles. After looking for somebody since the beginning of 2007, I've still not found anybody with anything even close to this. The amount of proof that I've put together would blow your mind. I mean, that's why I claim it to be the worst phone crimes in American history, the worst on record. Anyway, so we're driving down Main Street, and all of a sudden here comes a maroon Blazer and a white Chevy pickup, and they pass me and stop in front of my van on Main Street. I lived in this town for 46 years, and I didn't really know what to make of this deal. One of them had bullet holes that actually shot through the tailgate. The Blazer did, and I kept trying to pass them on the oncoming lane, and the white pickup would swerve over in front of me, and I told this guy, I'm going to have to call the police. I can't deal with this kind of harassment anymore. It's either that or we're going to have to ram them. If I'd have had a gun, I might have been in a situation to put a couple more bullets in the tailgate before it was over with. And it just, he goes, won't do you any good. I'm telling you, Randy, you're in too deep, and you're going to have to go along with what these people want you to do. I said, I don't have to go along with nothing. I've had enough already of their games, and I pick up a phone and called the police station, and on their regular number, 225-1212. It's a 580 area code, and dispatcher answers, and I told her, it's Randy with the taxi. I'm down on Main Street. I got 2 vehicles in front of me, and one's got bullet holes in the tailgates, and they keep stopping in front of me, and they won't let me move down Main Street. And she says, yes, we know they won't hurt you. You better keep your mouth shut, and hangs up on me. I'm not kidding you, Clay. That's about the biggest shocker you can ever imagine in your life, to get that kind of reaction from, somebody being paid with your tax dollars to protect you, and just don't see that happening hardly anywhere. I know they do some pretty bad things at police stations, and probably, kill people that get in, their business too deep, but that seems to be, about the last straw. Just anyway, they started moving out of the way, and I followed the maroon Blazer, the one with the bullet holes in the tailgates. I'd seen it around quite a bit, and followed him until he actually pulled into the police station and drove around back. So I pulled across the street and at a liquor store that across the street from the police station and just sat there.
Did you still have the guy in the camo in your vehicle?
Yep. And I finally took him to an apartment on the corner of B Avenue and Randall. There's a little apartment around back of this house that these people own. It's always somebody different living there all the time, and dropped him off, and I told him, I'm not sure what to make of this situation, but if they really want to scare somebody, they better get some Mexican mafia with the machine guns or something to stick in my face, because they keep doing this, and that's going to do nothing but get you angry. Like you've been drug off to a nut house. They want to scare somebody. You're going to have to get somebody besides a teeny bopper in a car with bullet holes in the tailgate. It just seems to be really like a joke. I don't know. It wasn't really supposed to be meant as a joke, I'm sure, but I kind of took it as a slap in the face. And I've been through so much harassment already. So anyway, boy, the phone problems got even worse after that. I started calling Channel 5 News in Oklahoma City because the local newspaper reporter here, Bob Fisher at the Elk City Daily News, told me, Randy, you probably should try to call Channel 5 over this situation. It sounds pretty nasty. I said, Bob, I'll try to do what I can here. I'll call anywhere you tell me to call, but somebody ought to at least put a stop some of it. I know I've already tried to get lawyers and everything else involved, and Beckham County, they find out about how things are here, and nobody wants to, try to do anything. And anyway, so I called Channel 5 in Oklahoma City, and guy answered the phone, told him what was going on. He goes, okay, if you've been in a taxi there for 7 years, this was at 7-year point in 2007, and what's the number to a couple of motels? I thought that was kind of weird, so I told him, the number to King's Inn and Motel 6, and he goes, well, what's the number of the police station? I said, don't call the police, because I've already having a lot of trouble with them, and the stuff I'm telling you, it's not really that wild anyway. I can prove a lot of these phone troubles, and just like to see if maybe somebody will make some calls for me. So he goes, I'm sorry, we can't really help you with anything like that here, but good luck to you. So, okay, I thought, it was just about as weird as it could be. The guy wouldn't identify himself or anything, so but all of a sudden a police officer started knocking on my door, and it was this officer, Brett Moore, and he asked me if I'd call Channel 5 in Oklahoma City. And I said, yeah, Brett, I'll call Channel 5. Is that against the law? He goes, Randy, they called the police station. They don't want you calling there anymore. And I said, okay, they did, huh? Okay, I won't call there no more, Brett. So as soon as he left, I jumped in my van and drove 130 miles to Channel 5 in Oklahoma City, and seen this guy going in the door, and I said, hey, can I holler at you for a minute? And he goes, yeah, what can I do for you? And I got all these magnetic signs all over my taxi. We've always had advertised for breakfast services and restaurants, and he could clearly see, I was definitely, for sure a taxi cab. I mean, I told him what was going on. He goes, boy, that's a pretty wild situation there. I mean, I showed him the phone number that I'd called. It was 405-478-3000, and showed him the duration of the call was like 8 minutes. And he goes, who did you talk to here? I said, the guy wouldn't identify himself. And he goes, nobody's going to answer the phone here that won't identify themselves. Wait in your van, and we're going to go in here and check the phone records, and we'll be out there to talk to you in just a few minutes. So about maybe 20 minutes went by, and out comes one of the reporters by the name of Mark Offgram. He's one of my Facebook friends, and he starts asking me some questions, and he's got a cameraman with him, and he told me that I had 30 minutes to tell some of the details about my situation on their camera, and they would try to make some calls for me, but they couldn't promise anything. I said, okay, Mark, pretty reasonable guy. I've been patient about this deal. I'm not crazy, and I could pass any kind of psychological evaluation any legitimate doctor gave me, and I don't have a criminal record, never done anything crazy, and just want to do the right thing. So I went over some of the details on his camera, and he shook his hand, and I told him thanks a bunch, and they told me to be careful. So I started pulling out of Channel 5 in Oklahoma City, and all of a sudden I got a text message on a phone that said your Telenav account has been changed. The PIN number has been changed to 2222. I didn't really know what Telenav was. Turns out it's a tracking service that they put on my AT&T to-go phone, but turns out there's not even a way to do that on an AT&T to-go phone. It has to be a regular contract phone. It was set up at the local AT&T facility here, and I got on the internet and looked at my Telenav account that had been set up for me, and the email address was under Santa@thenorthpole.com. And the people at Telenav didn't know what to make of it. Basically, they sounded pretty shook up about all the other stuff that I told them. And anyway, so it got pretty strange after that. I ended up transferring my phone. I'd already transferred phone companies quite a few times, and I swapped over to a company by the name of TrackPhone. And this friend of mine was telling me he didn't think they could do a lot of stuff with the TrackPhone that they could do with the other phones, that maybe it would help. And took about 7 days to get the TrackPhone even where I could even add minutes on it, because it was prepaid, and I was trying to switch over from this Sprint. And I'd already been through a lot with the Sprint. A phone company by the name of Embark actually took over my Sprint service, and I found out about it. And pulled up at a bar just a little bit after this, and there's this big guy, about 300-pound Spanish guy, and I got out of my van to go in and use the restroom real quick, and I came back out, and he bowed up in my face and told me I was messing with the wrong people. And I said, I don't know you, mister, but I just want to go back to my van. And he hit me on the side of his head with one punch. I mean, I'm telling you, he hit me so hard that it knocked me off my feet. And I'm a pretty good sized old boy at 230 pounds. And the people outside, I had a friend about maybe 30 foot away that said he actually lifted me off the ground, and it knocked me all the way out cold, and started kicking me in the head with his boots. And
now who was attacking you now?
Drunken reserve police officer that's the top prison guard at the Sayre prison. It's a CCA prison, a private facility in Sayre, Oklahoma, and his name is Ashley Brownfield. He actually was at the time a reserve police officer here on the Elk City Police Force. He got arrested for public intoxication and assault and battery for doing that. He tried to run on foot, but the police caught him, and after my friend that owned the bar maced him in the eye, or he probably would have killed me by kicking me in the head after I was already knocked out. Knocked out almost 15 minutes, and when I come to, the police were trying to help me up off the ground, told me I needed to, go to the hospital. I told them, I just need to get back in my taxi. We're going to have to make some money. I can't keep on going like this. I have a family to take care of, and my business is in shambles, and, I just want a fair chance to put things together. I got blood running out my ear, blood running down my chin. My elbow's got a big old chunk off of it where I'd hit the pavement. I'd actually hit my chin on the cement too, and he hit me on the like the side of my head where my ear is. I don't know, it was a knockout punch for sure. That's the last thing I remember is this guy swinging at me, and everything went black after that. And so I start trying to get an attorney to see if maybe we can sue him, because I ended up driving an emergency room about 30 minutes after that and got checked out. And what a nightmare it was. I couldn't even get a police report because they were saying it was being graded. I didn't even know really what that meant, but it seemed like they were trying to sweep it under the rug. And finally got a police report about a month later, and the guy paid a little tiny fine, and they let him out of jail instead of if some guy even, threatens somebody, gets transported to county and has to spend 3 days and, get a violence charge that costs you an unbelievable amount of money, and this guy almost kills me, and he don't even, hardly get anything done to him, and he probably got a medal. Anyway, so after this, I transferred to this track phone, and for 6 months, half of my phone calls went to one phone, and half my phone calls went to another, depending on what kind of carrier you would call me from, what result you got. Say you're calling me from a Sprint phone, it would go to whichever service I had the phone with, but if you would call me from an AT&T phone or several other carriers, it would still come to the track phone, and I couldn't get it unhung. I've recorded hundreds of hours of video of me calling track phone and everybody under the sun trying to get the phone disconnected from their company, and it's the darndest situation I could ever imagine being put in my life. At the end of 2007, after I'd endured that for 3 months, you had to go off to a psych ward for 17 days over some most unbelievable lies you could imagine in your life. And Department of Human Services had showed up at my house and decided they were going to place our kids with my mother-in-law.
Hold on, Randy. We got to take a little break here. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with me.
Sounds good.
All right, sir.